definition. It's supposed to be emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. So, on that note, I would say, are women too emotional or do men lack emotional intelligence when dealing with the previous definition of here? I don't know if y'all need time to read this whole definition.
Mm. Um, um, I would say sometimes, depending on the situation, men do lack the I guess the emotional knowledge. What you call it? Whatever it was,
Emotional intelligence.
the emotional intelligence. Because sometimes I feel as if we just think about it as like we're so structured to certain things where it's like 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't forget emotions. Emotions don't matter. This is what this is. This, that, and the third. But I feel sometimes, depending on the situation, where we're more. I ain't gonna say we're more methodical. I just sometimes I feel as if, depending on the situation, we could lack the emotional intelligence. But sometimes I feel women do be sometimes, depending on the situation, could be more emotional for that situation than a man would be. But I'm not going to say that women are traditionally just over emotional. I think it's based on the situation at hand.
I think women are too emotional, and I also think men lack emotional intelligence. So, according to that definition, I think both genders are lacking, and they're lacking in different ways. I think women base everything off emotion, sex, everything off emotion. And I think women lead with emotion and men lead with logic. That's why men lack emotional intelligence. So I think both parties have to figure a good balance, and then that's how you can mesh well. So I think men have to still have that logical side, but increase their emotional intelligence by understanding that women are emotional and women lead with emotion. So in order to tap into that woman, you got to tap into her emotions. Where I also think women need to understand that men are more logical. So when certain situations come up, they can put their emotions to the side and think logically like a man as well. That way they can reach the guy or relate to the guy better. So I think both parties need to fine tune their aspects in order to mesh well. Because I think, according to that definition, women, yes, are too emotional, and yes, men lack emotional intelligence.
I agree. I do think it's both what you said. I think women are too emotional, and then majority of men lack emotional intelligence. Like majority of men, and like you said, we like if our girl is crying, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, like why is you crying type stuff. You know, it's like not trying to understand why she's crying. It's like, bro, like you ain't got nothing to be crying about. You know what I'm saying? It's a more over the top, you feel me, type of thinking. When that girl is crying, she be like, it's just like something that might have triggered her from the past that you said that brought up something, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, bro. It could be anything, but she's feeling the kind of way, and then she can't express to you how she's feeling because it's not gonna make sense to you logically. You know what I'm saying? So she might be over emotional, but you over logical to the point where you're not emotionally intelligent. So I agree that it's both parties.
I don't think I think I mean I know women can be overly emotional in a sense of, like Fritz said, it depends on what it's about, like, or what it's in what it pertains to. I feel like when it comes to, like, family and loved ones, we are over emotional. But I feel I'm leaning more towards we tend to be more emotional than men versus, like, overly. Like, I don't think every woman, like majority women, are just like sitting here just crying over every little thing. I mean, I don't think that. I think it has to be something you care or love for. That's when we're like over emotional or overprotective, I guess. And I do think men do lack more emotions, because look how Cliff was like, "What are you crying for? What, just man up!" Like, but as like me, if I see my friend crying, I'm gonna be like, "What the hell? What's going on?" Something, like, I guess that would be me getting overly emotional in that situation, because it's someone I care about and I love, and I'm gonna feel more. I guess empathy towards it, I guess. Because I don't know, who was I talking to one time? They were like, oh yeah, if I see a family was shot on the news, I'll be like, oh damn, that's messed up. But us women, our reaction is gonna be like, oh my god, we might shed a couple of tears. I think it's more, I want to say it's more empathy than anything, but I could be wrong.
But do you think that's too emotional? Because like you just brought up the scenario of a family shot on TV. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of people get shot every day. You know what I'm saying? Like you looking at it as the standpoint of, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like
Because
I'm like, people get shot every day, bro. Like
that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's more of an empathy thing than a overly emotional. Maybe we have more empathy.
okay.
But you guys can correct me. This is just what I'm thinking, because I can feel like, I feel like a woman will put their self in the place of, damn, that wife or that mom just lost her entire family. That's how we're looking at it. And then we have Cliff or some other men will be like, not every day, B. This is why, you know. I think it's putting yourself in the same feelings or position as the person that lost that family or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's more sympathy. I think women are more sympathetic than empathetic, and I think
What's the
men
difference
are
between the two
actually more
words?
empathetic. Sympathy is when you feel sorry. Empathy is when you understand where the person is going
Well,
through.
that's what it is.
Yeah,
Well, that's
you hit
even
it.
those two words tie into this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The sympathy is more
and empathy, because I think men are more empathetic and women are more sympathetic.
Yes, I
Because
understand
women
that
are
people die
more,
every day.
Right. There you go, Shirley. You hit it right on the head, because as they tell us, we need to don't be sympathetic. Oh, I feel sorry for you. No, empathy. Like, I understand the emotions you're going through.
yeah.
I like that. Who else want to hop on?
Fufu, what time the food gonna be ready?
By 7:30. By 7:30.
All right, I'll be there by 7:45.
I'm sorry.
Anybody else want to speak on the topic?
What about you guys? Have you guys ever heard, and this is for both the men and the women. Men, have you guys ever heard that you lack emotional intelligence from a woman that you dated or whatever? And then females, have you ever been told you were too emotional from a man?
Yeah. I would say with me, I guess because the fact I grew with a house full of women, I'm not scared to talk about my emotions. So whenever I feel something, I usually just like I say it. Granted, sometimes I would say it when like where I'll probably wait till like I'm inebriated and get the liquid courage to say it. But sometimes I heard that sometimes like, are you too emotional to be a nigga? And even growing up as a kid, my mom would be like, man, you cry too much, or you like man up, like stuff like that. I remember that because whenever I felt something I couldn't express it, I used to cry. But I wasn't crying because like something was hurting or sad. It just I didn't know how to articulate myself, so it made me so frustrated. I just cried. So I just remember that it was like I wouldn't say they would say I lacked or I was too emotional. I guess you could say I was too emotional. But I could say that I never had where a woman in my relationship would be like, "Well, Fritz, you lack emotional intelligence and stuff like that." Because I am sort of kind of forthright. I'm saying it right. Forthright.
Ooh,
Upfront.
child, this vocabulary be fucking y'all up, boy, on this
Yeah,
podcast.
I ain't gonna lie. I did bad in school. Dixon is not my thing. But yeah, like I know for a fact that I never had a situation where a woman would be like, well, Fritz, you lack emotional intelligence. Because I am a person that would voice how I'm feeling that day. Granted, sometimes I might say it when I'm inebriated, but I still say it nonetheless.
I've been told I'm like overly emotional, but not like a lot, not often. But I also feel like some men use that to manipulate women, so you can hold your emotions in and not because they don't want to hear it. I feel like a lot of men use that to manipulate women. You too emotional, like, oh my God, you everything's a bit, I really feel like men use that to manipulate some women because they don't want to hear it. They don't want you to speak up or voice your concerns about certain things. And I'm not talking about nagging. They're, two different, but that's my opinion.
I could say for me, I definitely was like that typical man, you know what I'm saying, to where I ain't say what I felt, you know what I'm saying? I held all that shit in, you know what I'm saying? I kept that bitch rolling. And then if somebody if I was in a relationship with like was expressing something to me it was like bro, like what's the issue here, bro? Like there's no big like ain't nobody dead, ain't no like we still together, you know what I'm saying? We love each other, bro, like whatever, bro. Like so like what's the big deal here? So I definitely was on that like regular non-emotional intelligence thing, bro. But I think I'm a lot better now. Like I kinda understand certain things, you feel me? So and I kinda express myself more. So but that came with time.
I've never been told by a guy that I was too emotional, but I think that's because I always had my emotions. I'm actually very sensitive. And so like me like being mean and all that is like a defense mechanism. So I've always had like this wall of where I gotta like be the toughest, or not even necessarily be the toughest, but I guess not let people see me sweat type attitude. So I've never been told that I was too emotional, but I know behind closed doors I'm a very emotional person. I just out in public, I like lock it up as a defense mechanism. Fufu and Zeke.
Well, with me,
Anybody else got nothing to
no
say
one
on
ever
it?
told me that I'm too sensitive or I lack it. I think because if I don't like that, I won't have any feelings. Like, and I'm not scared to show that because it's not that serious. But it's serious when I'll be both. And it all depends on who you're with. Like my mate now, I don't need to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something that's not going on correctly or something that we need to work on, we talk about it. So no need
That's
to hide it.
that's beautiful. I love y'all.
But
What
don't
about
get
you,
me
Z?
wrong, when it do come out, it doesn't mean you might not like it and you might do. So
We know y'all both Taurus. We know.
What about you, Zeke? You got something to say on it?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was, I was raised by a woman, so uh, I would say at times, I'm not afraid to, you know, voice my emotions, but then again, being a man, there's certain things or certain times or certain circumstances where we feel like, we shouldn't, feel a certain type of way, or being that we're a man, that we shouldn't cry. But as we get older, I just feel like, as I got older, I learned that, that was just some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
What made that switch for you, Zeke? Like, what made you realize that that was BS and to start tapping into your feelings?
Because, I mean, I guess it's just me seeing like another strong man or somebody who I consider to be strong, actually seeing him, shedding tears, and, I kind of like, took that in, and made that adjustment, for me. I can't really speak for everybody else, but, for me to, look up to this one person and, I know he's strong, I know he can provide, I know he can do this and the other, but to see him actually be hurt and actually, shed a tear and cry about something, that actually, stuck with me and opened my eyes up, and actually showed me that, like, it's all right to cry. That don't make you less of a man because you cry over something that, that you care about, or that that might be your way to express express your feelings. Sometimes we actually need to, just to get it off your chest.
Definitely. I definitely agree.
But I mean, also, it being raised by a single mother, it did kind of have its I wouldn't say downsides to it. I would say like it's rough patches to it because my old girl, she wasn't really like the one to like express her feelings or emotions. It was just more like either I don't really know how to explain it, but she wasn't really too open, with her emotions, or expressing her emotions. For the most part, all we know is that like, she was strict. She didn't play the radio about certain things, well, a lot of things, but I also feel like her being like that, I picked that up as well. You know what I'm saying? Because, back in the past, there's been times where I've been insensitive about shit. Well, the next person might have felt like, well, damn, bro, you doing that? That just make me look at you like you're the worst person in the world. You know what I'm saying? All because, me not really, I ain't gonna say not really showing emotions or sincerity towards somebody, but it was just that the fact that was just how I was raised. There was certain things would happen, I'd be like, all right, man, stop that shit up. It is what it is. You good? You all right? When in actuality, whatever the case was, it might have actually really hurt somebody, like to the core, to the deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that.
So are you guys teaching your sons to be tapped into their emotions?